Okay, well, how about a big round of applause for your next storyteller? This is Robyn Bisshop-Marin. Come on up, Robyn. Hey, right there. Okay. How's that?
Maybe a little lower. That's
lower.
good.
Okay, watch
Okay.
this.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah. I saw Ivan handle that last one.
Is it good, Ivan?
Robyn, get nice and close.
Okay, there we go. All right, I'm nervous. Okay, so about 25 years ago, my Aunt Betty was visiting me in California, and we used to have these heart-to-hearts, and she told me that her vagina had closed. And I was a young mother at the time, and I was like, what do you mean? I mean, like, it's not like the baby's fontanelle that closes up over time. The vagina is a permanent opening of the body, like our ears. You know, like over time they don't close. In fact, they get bigger. So I was like, okay, how's this happen? And she's like, well, let me tell you. And I said, well, is it like a use it or lose it type of situation? And I knew that couldn't be it because she was like so into sex and she would tell me about it all the time. And I was like, well, is it like closed like hours of operation kind of closed? Like open from like 9 to 5? Closed between 12 and 1 type of closed for lunch? And she's like, oh no, honey, it's shut. It's like, well, wait a second. Shut is really different than closed. Because closed means like, you'll be right back. See you in the morning. Please come again. And shut is like locked down, dark, do not enter, do not disturb. We lost our lease. We have obsolete merchandise. We shop online. And okay, so fast forward to now, like a few years ago, my husband totally left me out of the blue. I am one of those women who had no idea, just gonna leave. And I started thinking, well, how am I gonna stay OFB without a boyfriend or an FWB? Everybody knows what OFB is, right? Open for business. And we all know what FWB is. Say it all together, friends with benefits. So when you get single, people say to you, you know, you should get an FWB. I'm like, I don't want to get an FWB. I'm not ready for that. She's like, well, you know, you should get an FWB because you need an FWB if you're going to survive. I'm like, I don't want to get an FWB. And then I got one. And I don't like it. Because if I make love to you, I'm for sure going to fall in love with you. So right about this time, my girlfriend Rosemary, she calls me and she's like, hey, Robyn, how are you doing? I'm like, well, you know, not so good. She's like, well, I got a new vibrator. Want to borrow it? I'm so glad you mentioned that this is true because I can't make that up. And I'm like, no, I don't want to borrow your vibrator. I mean, we don't lend those things out. Rosemary, she said, like, have two. I'm like, I'm not borrowing your vibrator. I mean, I don't even know what I'd sterilize that with. And I said, you know what, Rosemary, after I got divorced, you know what I also got? I got half the checkbook. I can afford my own Rabbit Master. Thank you very much. So I'm thinking about where I'm going to get this thing. And in the plaza where I work is an adult fun store. And I had gone down there a couple years earlier, and I had bought some Kama Sutra powder. You guys know what it is? It comes in the can. It's all powdery. It's got a little feathery thing. Yeah, you put it all over your lover's body, and then you lick it off. So as I'm leaving the store, at least one person, so I'm leaving the store, and Frank, the shop owner, goes, hey, Robyn, I hope you enjoy that Kama Sutra powder. I'm like, what? You know, whatever. So I walk down the plaza. I own a yoga studio. No shit. A couple weeks later, my yoga studio is between like a bread shop and this really nice restaurant where there's cafe and outdoor tables. And Frank comes down a couple weeks later, stands in the threshold of my yoga studio and yells, hey, Robyn, how do you like that Kama Sutra powder? I'm like, Frank, boundaries, man. I didn't use it. I have a runaway husband. It's still on my shelf. It still has its seal on it. It doesn't have an expiration date. I'd like to return it. But I'm too shy and I'm too nice, so I didn't say anything. I just basically ignored him. Because I thought, you know, I need the Rabbit Master, but I'm sure as shit not going to buy it from you because you're going to want a full fucking Yelp review on it. So this is in Sarasota, Florida, where they have so many adult fun stores everywhere because it's Florida. So I go down where they don't know me, and I walk into Giggles, into the back room, and the back room is where they keep all the, oh, yeah, things I've never seen before. With more than one part. There's like 3-part things, there's 2-part things, there's big things, there's little things, all different color things. And all of a sudden there's Porno Barbie standing next to me. And she's like, hey, can I help you? I'm like, no, I am not here. She goes, well, if you need any help, I'll just be right over there. I go, why don't you just go right back over there? And I'm looking at the Rabbit Master because Rosemary sent me a picture of it, and I can't find it. So then I find it, and I grab it, and I walk to the counter, and I go, oh my God, why is this thing $149 fucking dollars? And she goes, well, it's $149 because it's worth it. It's got its own battery pack. And she grabs my hand, she sticks it in my hand, and she fires it up through all like 82 things it can do. And I'm like, oh, wow, that is really good. But I only need my thing to do one thing. Would you please go into the back room and find me something under $50 that'll keep me OFB? And she's like, OFB? What's OFB? I go, you don't need to know. You don't need to know. Just go to the back room. She's like, does anybody know what OFB is in here? I'm like, oh. So I left the store. In a flash, I never did get the Rabbit Master because I got a boyfriend. And so I called my Aunt Betty, and I said, Aunt Betty, this is a possibility that I'm going to be telling the story in front of a live audience. Can I use your real name? She's like, oh, yeah, honey. I want to be famous. I'm like, okay, Betty. She's 79, and she goes, oh, and you should probably tell them I don't have that problem anymore. I'm like, oh, did you get a boyfriend? Did you get a hormone patch? And she goes, no, I got myself an FWB.